Hello everyone, I am back. I am very happy to be back. It has been forever. Oh my gosh. The last couple days have been so long. I've missed this so much. Let me go ahead and do something really quickly. I have this song stuck in my head. What's up, Boba? Long time no see on stream. Man. Oh my gosh, it's been so long. Alright. I haven't changed any settings, so hopefully this goes smoothly. It would suck if it didn't. Here we go.
Philadelphia. The Edward J. Blaustein School of Planning and Public Policy at Rutgers University. And the New Brunswick Performing Arts Center. Tonight, two visions for Trenton take center stage. Our candidates are Republican Jack Ciattarelli and Democrat Mikey Sherrill. And now, Action News anchor
Here we go.
Tamala Edwards and Eyewitness News anchor Bill Ritter.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome to this debate between the Republican and Democratic candidates for governor of New Jersey. I'm Bill Ritter.
And I'm Tamala Edwards. Over the next hour, the candidates will answer questions from Bill and myself, as well as questions from our media partner.
How's the audio? Is it good, bad, bit of both? It's good? Alright, sweet. I was a little worried. Also, really quickly, I want to know what you guys think. With Assassin's Creed, okay, it's dawned on me that Black Flag occurs before Assassin's Creed 3. So, I was curious, should I play Black Flag? Should I pause the 3 playthrough and switch to Black Flag? Oh, hi RWV. Yes, I heard. But I will... No, don't pause. Okay, should I do both at the same time? Should I just do Assassin's Creed for the next couple weeks? Because I'm kind of like in that feel. Like I kind of just want to do that. But I don't know. I want to play other things as well, but just I'm kind of like in just the mood of Assassin's Creed. Do 3 till I finish it. Okay, I can do that. I can do that. That's not that bad. Alright. Although it is a pretty big game. And I plan on doing a lot of the side missions. Like, pretty much all of them. So... it's going to be a fun next couple months. Alright, let's do this.
Univision. The candidates will also answer some questions that were submitted by voters through an online questionnaire.
Now, the debate was awarded by the New Jersey Election Law Enforcement Commission. Gubernatorial candidates are mandated to participate in this debate under state law as a condition of attempting mutual funding positions under New Jersey's gubernatorial public financing.
I'll be right back. I need to get some water.
Under the debate rules, the candidate to whom the question is posed will have 1 minute to answer, followed by a 1-minute response from the opposing candidate. The candidate who received the initial question will then receive a 30-second rebuttal. The candidates have agreed to a 30-second opening statement and a 1-minute closing statement at the end of our debate.
Okay, so those are the ground rules. We're going to begin with the candidates' opening statements, and by prior draw, it all is going to start with Jack Ciattarelli. Sir?
New Jersey, we need change. We need an honest, qualified, hands-on CEO governor who will bring that change. Why? We have an overdevelopment crisis in our suburban communities. We have an affordability crisis because of property taxes and electricity bills. We have a public safety crisis because we don't let our police do their jobs any longer. We have a public education crisis because we've watered down the public school curriculum. Tonight, I'll give you a plan and very specific policy proposals on how to fix all the things that makes New Jersey so broken. I look forward to tonight's debate.
Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill.
Good evening, New Jersey. My name's Mikey Sherrill. I have a different kind of background, so I'll be a different kind of governor. Navy helicopter pilot, federal prosecutor, member of Congress, and mom of 4 kids.
She committed stolen valor. She wasn't allowed to walk during the graduation ceremony. She helped cover up the largest cheating scandal in Navy history. She's lying. Also, Sprite is really good, but I prefer Dr. Pepper.
I am laser focused on driving down your costs, making New Jersey more affordable. I'm going to start by declaring a state of emergency on energy costs, make government more accountable to you, making it safer and more affordable. And I'm going to ensure that I am always fighting for all of you.
All right. It is now time to turn to the questions, and we're going to begin with you, Congresswoman Sherrill. According to the World Population Review, it costs 14% more to live in New Jersey compared to the rest of the nation. And it touches on so many issues, including gas, groceries, and housing. What are 3 specific things that you would do to ease that burden?
You know, I constantly hear about this from voters. So that's why on day 1, I'm declaring a state of emergency on energy prices, freezing rate hikes. I'm going to take on the PBMs. Those are those middlemen that can drive up drug prices up to 10 times, driving down your health care costs. And I'm going to ensure that I'm taking on those landlords that are colluding to drive up your rental prices. So housing, healthcare, utility costs, immediately get to work driving down your costs. And quite frankly, we know my opponent won't do it, because his #1 donor is somebody who's actually under investigation for driving up those rental costs. So I'm going to continue to fight for New Jerseyans, and my opponent just won't.
Mr. Chitterelli.
My opponent has put forth an illegitimate plan that isn't feasible. Even the governor, a member of her own party, has said that, I don't really think you can do that. There are 77 incumbent Democratic legislators, 52 of which are on the ballot this year, and not one has endorsed her plan. To get electricity rates down on day 1, I will pull us out of Reggie. The Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative is a carbon tax policy that has cost New Jersey $300 to $500 million a year for homeowners, tenants, and businesses, and it's been a failure. Electricity is at its all-time high, the air is no cleaner, and ratepayer dollars are going to other states. So we can provide some relief on day 1. We also have to take care of the property tax crisis, something you won't hear my opponent ever talk about. We need a new school funding formula in New Jersey. With a new school funding formula, we can have a more equitable distribution of state aid, and in so doing, reduce the property tax burden with our local school districts. We also have 2 other things that are driving the affordability crisis in New Jersey. Housing. We need more affordable housing. We just need to be smart about the way we do it. Another thing that's driving the affordability crisis is child care. And I have a specific plan on how to relieve that burden for families with young children.
So none of that is actually going to drive down costs for anyone here, and that's no surprise, because my opponent has voted against over $1 billion in property tax relief for people. He's voted to raise taxes at every level of government in which he's served, and he continues to propose different actions that will raise taxes on the people of New Jersey.
Okay, thank you for that.
Bill, our rules are no rebuttals.
No double rebuttals. Yes, there's not the second one. But I'm going to go to you first, Mr. Chitterelli, and talk about property tax, because New Jersey has one of the highest property tax rates in the country. We know that, more than $10,000 a year for the average person.
Okay, this is my opinion on tax relief. It doesn't work. The only tax relief that works is lowering the taxes, and that's exactly what Jack said he was going to do. It's that simple. I don't see why this is complicated. $1 billion in tax relief doesn't solve the issue. It just puts a Band-Aid on it and says we'll fix it later. It doesn't fix anything. it's stupid. I don't get it.
Average person. Many residents remain limited by the federal government about how much they can actually deduct per year. Not long ago, as we all know, it was 100% deductible. Now it's a fraction of that. Given that, would you lower New Jersey's property tax? It sounded like your opponent did not think you would.
We need a new school funding formula. Anyone who's from New Jersey would know that anywhere from 15 to 20% of your property tax bill is municipal taxes, 15 to 20% are county taxes, but anywhere from 60 to 70% could be the school tax. And the reason why the school tax is so high in New Jersey is because of the way we distribute state aid to our schools. We need a new school funding formula. But there are other things that we can do to relieve the property tax burden. For example, make all property taxes deductible on the New Jersey tax return. Make all retirement income tax-free. Cap it at 1% for first-time home buyers, 1% of the assessed value of the home. My opponent voted no on the big, beautiful bill. You're now allowed to deduct up to $40,000 of your property taxes on your federal tax return. That, too, lessens the tax burden. So there's a number of different things that we can do. Also in that bill, there was a child care tax credit. There's a credit for private tuition, and it doesn't tax tips, overtime, or Social Security. The big, beautiful bill put more close to $5,000 in the pocket of the average middle-class New Jerseyan. She voted no.
So my opponent likes to talk about how he's from New Jersey, but anybody who's actually fighting for New Jersey would not raise taxes at every single level of government in which he served, voting to raise taxes. He's voted against over $1 billion in property tax relief. He's against tax relief for seniors, and he's for Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill, which would undermine the ability to deduct almost $30 billion taxes from New Jerseyans. So here's the thing. He says he's from New Jersey, but he's not fighting for New Jerseyans. In fact, I'll tell you, I just read an article the other day about how he's voted against even things like giving rapists parental rights. He's voted to give rapists parental rights for the victim of their rape. I can't understand how anybody who wants to be a fighter for New Jersey would ever do
Hi, Odyssey.
something like
How you
that.
doing?
Mr. Chitterelli, response?
My opponent has been blatantly lying all throughout this campaign, saying they're going to raise the sales tax to 10%. It's a lie. It's not true. We're not raising any taxes in New Jersey. I've talked about very specifically how to lower the income tax and the property tax bill all across New Jersey. At the last debate, when she was asked whether or not she would raise the sales tax, her exact words were, "I'm not going to commit myself to anything right now." That doesn't sound like somebody who's trying to relieve the tax burden in New Jersey, and New Jersey has faced the highest overall tax burden in the country.
Okay, thank you both. Congresswoman, the Chitterelli campaign is asking for the full release of your military records. The National Archives, we know, say it's mistakenly releasing, and it did release, your personal information in those records 2 weeks ago. Since then, there have been questions about why you were not allowed to participate in the graduation ceremonies at the Naval Academy more than 30 years ago. Can you explain to voters why you were not allowed to participate?
Yeah, so I have addressed that. I've said, look, I didn't turn in some of my classmates, so I didn't walk at graduation because I come from an incredibly accountable place. But I went on to graduate. I was commissioned an officer in the United States Navy. I held positions of trust throughout the Navy, both as a helicopter pilot, as a Russian policy officer, as a flag aide to the deputy commander of the U.S. Atlantic Fleet during the Cole bombing and during 9/11. I received numerous awards and commendations, held the highest levels of security clearance. But here's what I think really demands an answer, is why my opponent still won't take accountability for the release of those records. It's under federal investigation that a member of his team, someone he vetted to be his lieutenant governor, actually got access to those records, said he was shocked and disgusted, and yet nevertheless shopped them out to reporters. When he was asked about it, he acted as if he had no idea what his campaign was doing. So either he's really incompetent or he's lying.
Your rebuttal, sir.
At the last debate, Mikey said that she was the most transparent gubernatorial candidate of all time. If she's so transparent, then approve the release of her disciplinary records at the Naval Academy so we can know why it is that she was punished. There was a cheating scandal in the early 1990s while she was there. We know for a fact that she wasn't allowed to participate in the graduation ceremony. We know for a fact that her name was not listed in the commencement exercise program. She says it's because she didn't turn in classmates. That's the honor code at West Point. That's not the honor code at the Naval Academy. You don't get punished for that. I think she was punished for something else. And so I think she needs to come clean. I think the people in New Jersey deserve an answer as to why she was punished at the Naval Academy. And she's trying to create a giant smokescreen for something the National Archives has taken complete responsibility for and apologized for with regard to a Freedom of Information Act request that was perfectly legal. The National Archives has taken responsibility and apologized for what they did.
Congresswoman?
They're having a federal investigation right now into that. But look, we have a federal government under the Trump administration that has released paperwork on tons of people and their Social Security information. Seniors come to me all the time. We have a president who's told governors they have to turn over all of this information, things like voting records and license plate numbers. And we now have a candidate who's turned over all of my information to reporters. I'm certainly not going to open up my classmates' hundreds of records so he can rampage through them on a witch hunt. He should take responsibility. He should turn back those records in which he still holds.
Okay.
Mr. Chittorelli, next question. Your opponent has criticized your connections to President Trump, who has endorsed you. Do you consider yourself part of the MAGA movement? And in this divided state, can you point to one major Trump policy that you support and one that you oppose?
I'm part of a New Jersey movement. We need change in New Jersey. We've got various crises that are raging across the state that are punishing the middle class. The Chittorellis have been here for 100 years. 3 generations of Chittorellis have all owned their own businesses here. I've had the opportunity and privilege to serve at every level of government, terminating myself each time, more times than not taking the salary or the benefits. I know what's going on in the state of New Jersey. I know what it is that we need to get done. I agree with the president in securing the border. I think that was a matter of national security. And I've said I'll secure New Jersey by us not being a sanctuary state nor having sanctuary cities. I disagree with the president on the Empire Wind Farm off of Long Island. We hope that that doesn't mean there'll be wind farms off our Jersey shore. He's put a temporary halt on that. I will make it permanent when I'm governor. But let me be clear. No matter who it is that's in the White House, my job is to stand up for the 9.3 million citizens of this state, and I will. I will fiercely advocate for them at all times. But let me also say this, that in times of need, it's best to have a relationship with whoever occupies the White House, and I will.
Congresswoman?
He's shown zero signs of standing up to this president. In fact, the president himself called Jack 100% MAGA, and he's shown every sign of being that. He said it's his job to support the president of the United States. I think as governor, it's the job to support the people of New Jersey. I've taken on anyone and everyone, including powerful members of my own party, to fight for people here in New Jersey. Jack won't say one cross word about the president. Even when he froze Gateway Tunnel funding, Jack said that's not a New Jersey problem. Well, I beg to differ, as do the over 200,000 people a day that ride that rail system into that tunnel, especially the people, too, that would get one of the almost 100,000 jobs in the region. That'll cost us $1 million a day, and yet Jack can't stand up to it. He's even said that New Jerseyans should take on a little bit of pain for Trump's tariffs. I don't think so. I actually think we should fight those tariffs, and as governor, I'd join the lawsuit to do just that.
Mr. Chittorelli?
You know, it's interesting. When the pandemic came, our governor, Phil Murphy, who never had anything nice to say about Donald Trump, went down to the White House, had a very nice conversation with him, and got the respirators we needed because our ERs were on overload and people were dying. It's important to have a relationship. And a relationship means respectfully disagreeing when you believe the president's wrong and agreeing to get things done on behalf of New Jersey. One thing that I will do, because New Jersey's been a donor state for decades, is I will harness the energy of our congressional delegation and bring more money back to New Jersey.
We've got a follow-up for both of you, and you'll each have about 15 seconds to answer. And we'll start with you, Mr. Chittorelli. What grade would you give President Trump for his second term?
Right now, I'd certainly give the president an A. I think he's right about everything that he's doing. He has secured the border and the economy. We've got inflation is much lower than it was when Joe Biden was in the White House, and particularly because of what he's done specific to New Jersey. Temporary halt on the wind farms, beating up on New York Democrats over the Gateway over congestion pricing plan, and quadrupling the SALT deduction.
Congresswoman?
Amazing. I think that tells us all we need to know about who Jack Chittorelli is supporting. I'd give him an F. Right now, we see at every single level, costs are going up on New Jerseyans. So whether it's the tariff costs that are costing you more from everything from a cup of coffee to the groceries you buy for dinner at night to the one big beautiful bill which will raise health care, energy, and housing costs.
While we're giving grades, we're going to continue it, I think, with 30 seconds to answer. Congresswoman, what grade would you give to Governor Murphy?
I'd give him a B. There's things like paying for the pensions. The 9 increases in our credit rating that I like, but overall I think there's ways Trenton could do a lot better. being much more responsive to people. I'm going to have a culture shift in Trenton. I'm going to make sure that we have more accountability in government, driving down costs for people. I also think with the housing crisis, there's more we need to do to build houses, transit-oriented development, to make sure we can drive those costs down. And then our rail system. I'd fight harder for more infrastructure to make sure more people can get around the state easily.
Mr. Tetterell.
Bill, it's an F. This has been the worst governorship of our lifetime. And the reason why a number of Democrats all around the state have endorsed my candidacy is because they're fearful of another 4 years of Phil Murphy's policy failures. Take a look what's happened in New Jersey. We have an affordability crisis because of property taxes, electricity rate, housing, and child care. We have a public education crisis because we watered down the public school curriculum. We have a public safety crisis because we don't let our local police do their jobs. And we have an overdevelopment crisis in our suburban communities because of high-density housing. It's been a failure across the board, and we need change.
Okay. Thank you.
I believe.
Is it to me?
Yes.
Okay. Number 5, Congressman Cheryl.
No, you're right, Bill. It was me.
But I'll take it anytime you want.
No,
It's okay.
I love this question. Congresswoman, we are in a government shutdown. Democrats say this is to protect against Medicare cuts and rising premiums. Republicans argue you should fund the government and deal with everything else in negotiations. Why is a shutdown with workers furloughed and programs stopped better than doing that?
So I think we've seen at every level cuts to affordability for working people. So we've seen these tariff cuts, we've seen these healthcare cuts, we've seen hikes on utility costs as we go forward with the One Big Beautiful Bill. And now they've taken away healthcare in the One Big Beautiful Bill for millions of people, and they now want to cut healthcare support for people who still have it with the markets, the Affordable Care Act markets. That's what we're fighting for. And so right now with the president, with the Senate, and the House, all in GOP hands, the fact is they've got to work to reopen government so workers can get back to work and we can continue to drive down healthcare costs.
Republicans are the ones putting forward the bill. They're the ones who are literally putting forward the same type of bills that Biden did. Just fund the freaking government. It's not that hard. Oh my gosh. The only reason why we can't fund the government is because the stupid filibuster exists. I really hate when Democrats are like, oh, it's Republicans' fault, because Democrats all voted against it. Only 3 of them voted with us. We needed at least 4 more votes to get past the filibuster. Every time a shutdown is going to happen under the Biden administration, Republicans worked with Democrats to get stuff done, to fund the government. All this is done is give Trump more power to fulfill his promises, which is fire a ton of government workers, which he is starting to do, which is amazing. The less government there is, the better we are. Just saying. It's how it's always been. It's how it always will be. But I love their argument. Oh, we need to protect healthcare for people. Then when we ask them, well, in your bill that would fund the government, in the Democrats' bill, you would be funding illegals. And they go, no, we're just funding people. So illegals aren't people? Is that how you see them? Because we don't like them because they're illegal. We don't hate them. We if anything, we want them to come here legally. But if they're illegal, they've broken the law and they should go. Plain and simple. But the whole, oh well, it's Republicans' fault because they have the trifecta. Like, even under the Biden administration, they still needed the filibuster. They still needed to get past the filibuster, and Republicans always worked with them. Some didn't, but most did. And we're willing to work with you guys. Like, okay, let's address healthcare. Let's address our differences. But first things first, you gotta reopen the government. All this is doing is hurting their chances in the midterms. Their chances in the midterms have already gone down. It was at 3% a couple weeks ago. Now it's at 2%. They are literally screwing themselves and shooting themselves in the foot. And it drives me insane because I want a competent option. I want an option that is willing to work with the opposition. I want two competent parties that I can choose between. But they're so incompetent, I can't choose.
Mr. Chitterelli.
Work to reopen government? When there were shutdowns during the Biden era, she voted every time for the continuing resolution to keep government, get it open again. This time around, with Trump in the White House, she's voted no on the resolutions to keep government open. I hope the shutdown ends within moments. I hope it ends tomorrow. We've got 22,000 New Jerseyans that are being furloughed because of the shutdown. But this is what happens in Washington, D.C. The job of a governor is to get things done. I have relationships with people in the legislature. We'll be able to work together to get things done. I've heard a number of times already tonight that President Trump seems to be responsible for everything that's wrong in New Jersey. I don't know what he has to do with our property taxes. I don't know what he has to do with our electricity rates, the failure of our public school system, the failure of our public safety across New Jersey with handcuffing our police, the failure of overdeveloping our suburbs. He doesn't have anything to do with all those things. So as I often like to say on the campaign trail, if you get a flat tire tomorrow, get ready. She's going to blame it on President Trump.
I know he likes to excuse President Trump from everything because that's who he works for, basically. But here are the facts. 1 in 3 children are on Medicaid. Well, there's going to be about a $5 billion hole in the budget because of Trump's cuts to Medicaid. He's cut off funding for some of our innovative power as we're facing utility crisis. It's going to drive up costs for families by hundreds of dollars. He's just taking away Title I funding for our schools, driving up our taxpayer rates. So that's why I'm fighting that. But make no mistake, I'll also fight Trenton to bring down costs for families.
Okay, thank you both very much. We're going to take a question from one of our media partners. It's for Mr. Chitterelli, and you'll have a chance to come back afterwards. This is from Univision. Here's Ana Patricia Camdiana.
Mr. Chitterelli, in our recent Univision town hall, you spoke about a path to recognition for undocumented immigrants. What exactly do you mean? Are you referring to a path to citizenship?
I support the president in securing the border. I believe it was a matter of national security. I think it's my role as governor to keep the state safe, and we'll do that on day one by not having sanctuary cities in our state, nor will we be a sanctuary state. I've been very, very transparent about that. I think that only encourages illegal immigration, and it does restrict our local police in certain ways. And if a local mayor and police chief want to work in partnership with a federal agency to keep their community safe, I think they should be allowed to do so. Having said that, anyone who came here from a history of criminality, came here illegally, came from a history of criminality in their country of origin, has to go back. Anyone who came here illegally and has committed crime or has scammed our government assistance program since coming here has to go back. I believe that everyone else should be put on a pathway to recognition. This has always been my position. And so a pathway to recognition means some form of government-issued ID, so we don't have people living in the shadows or working under a falsified Social Security number, which isn't fair to those who do that. So the answer to the very specific answer to her question is a pathway to recognition.
Hey Red Wing, how you doing? I got an app on my phone where I make my thumbnails. But the one I'm using for this stream, RWP, Right Wing Politics made for me. And then sent it to me through Discord. If you ask him for thumbnails, he'd probably be happy to make some for you.
That's not really a real thing. That doesn't confer any status to anyone. So that's why, standing up here, I'm incredibly concerned about public safety. I'm a former federal prosecutor. I'm the only person on the stage who's prosecuted a violent criminal who was then deported. So I care deeply about that. But I've always been for comprehensive immigration reform, as have many people. We got very close, even with some very conservative members of the Senate. And that involves securing our borders, creating a pathway to citizenship for DACA recipients, TPS recipients.
Hey,
people
nerd,
who
how you doing?
working and paying taxes. Having that pathway could be so helpful to our economy. So that's a very clear answer to this. I think Jack works to say anything he can to anyone, but at the end of the day, he's always going to do what Trump tells him to do.
30 seconds? The Congresswoman has been anything but strong when it comes to public safety. In Congress, she voted to get rid of qualified immunity. This is the bedrock of protection for local law enforcement. She has said that she is considered reappointing the current Attorney General, who's considered to be the most anti-police Attorney General we've ever had. She's given some kind of weird endorsement of Mondami. Mondami has endorsed her. I called on her to renounce that endorsement. Josh Shapiro, the Democratic governor of Pennsylvania, has denounced Mondami, as has the congressman in the north. And this is somebody who's been also anti-police. We want our community safe. We need a governor, an attorney general, 21 county prosecutors, and a superintendent of state police who will keep our community safe.
The next question goes to you, Congresswoman Sherrill. Political tensions are at a high, and there are true fears in the public about political violence. We recently saw the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and in this state in 2020, a judge's son was killed in a political attack. Are there concrete things that you can do to help bring people together without fear?
Yeah, that was horrific. That's a judge I practiced before, and we worked incredibly hard at the federal level to get Daniel's Law so that we could actually get resources into the federal judges to keep them safe. But we've seen a continued uptick in political violence, and that is never acceptable. It really undermines, I think, our democracy and the idea that people want to come forward and serve. And I worry very much that with this kind of political violence, we are going to see people trying to step away from public life. So here in New Jersey, as governor, I will always work to make sure everyone is safe, to ensure that people can speak freely and yet not face political violence. I've worked at every level to do just that, whether it's on college campuses, with our presidents of universities to ask how they're keeping students safe there. I've also worked throughout the state to make sure that in our district, we are listening to all voices. I've heard from people on all different sides of the issue. They are always welcome to have discussions with my office.
Mr. Chittorelli?
Since the time that the Congresswoman is declared for governor, she's missed 90% of the votes in Washington. But a few Fridays ago, she skipped out of two very important joint appearances in New Jersey to get to Washington, D.C. to vote yes on the Charlie Kirk resolution celebrating his life. I applaud her yes on that vote. When she came back to New Jersey and caught hell from the left, she issued a statement condemning Charlie Kirk, calling him a misogynist and a racist. The two things are inconsistent to me. The way to tamp down the hateful rhetoric is by having the right kind of leadership in place. I've always conducted myself in a respectful way, even when I disagree with people. I'm never going to tarnish the name my parents gave me, and I'm never going to embarrass my 4 children. I've always been respectful with my rhetoric, and I think that that's more important than ever. New Jersey is the most diverse state in the country. I think there's power and beauty in that diversity when we embrace it. I embrace it. Anyone who follows me on social media sees everywhere I go, and I mean everywhere, because we're all in this together, and I will represent all 9.3 million New Jersey citizens.
Congresswoman, just very briefly, do you want to respond to that in 15 seconds, if you could?
I do. So that resolution was a resolution standing up for free speech and standing against political violence. And I do feel very strongly about that. I also feel very strongly that despite the fact that Charlie Kirk had a right to say a lot of things, I deeply disagreed with them. In fact, when I asked my opponent if he could disagree with Charlie Kirk saying Martin Luther King was a bad guy or that women should be subservient to their husbands, he could not. So I think it's my right to speak out as well against things that I disagree with.
Okay, thank you very much. We want to get to this next question. As we've all seen, there is no shortage of problems on New Jersey transit, no shortage at all. And in the past week, we have seen, and it was mentioned today, that the Trump administration stopped funding and thereby delaying construction of the uber-important Gateway to connect a third tunnel between New Jersey and New York City, a crucial tunnel. What's your response to that? We'll start with Mr. Chittorelli.
So the bad news is there's a shutdown right now. I hope that it ends any moment, if not tomorrow. The good news with regard to the Gateway project, which is critically important and a quintessential governmental infrastructure program, is that the Gateway Commission is what funds that project. And then the Gateway Commission seeks reimbursement from the federal government for their end of the deal. The construction is not stopping. This shutdown would have to go on for 2 or 3 months before the Gateway project would grind to a halt. We have to fix New Jersey Transit. And I'm proposing something you've seen in other states. Put all of our mass transit systems under one roof. The Garden State Transportation Authority. Atlantic City Expressway produces revenue with its tolls. Parkway and Turnpike produce revenue with its tolls. New Jersey Transit produces revenue with its fares. Put it all under one roof, one management structure, better accountability, better transparency. I'll fill in the...
Did he mention Florida? Hold up. Did he mention Florida? I have to make sure, because if he did, shout out to Florida.
The Gateway Commission is what funds that project, and then the Gateway Commission seeks reimbursement from the federal government for their end of the deal. The construction is not stopping. This shutdown would have to go on for 2 or 3 months before the Gateway project would grind to a halt. We have to fix New Jersey Transit, and I'm proposing something you've seen in other states. Put all of our mass transit systems under one roof. The Garden State Transportation Authority. Atlantic City Expressway produces revenue with its tolls. Parkway and Turnpike produce revenue with its tolls. New Jersey Transit.
He mentioned the Turnpike. That's a Florida thing. Let's go. He mentioned the Turnpike. I'm not. I think he's going to win. I 100% think he's going to win. I don't know how by much. I don't know by how much, but I think he's going to win. 100%.
Produces revenue with its fares, put it all under one roof, one management structure, better accountability, better transparency. I'll fill in the blanks with the subsidy from state government, our state budget. That's the dedicated revenue stream to fix New Jersey Transit.
Congresswoman, your response.
So this is not tied to the shutdown. This is simply the president saying he's freezing.
I haven't gone to them yet, so when they do get to them, I will let you know, because I don't know what the whole opioid thing is about. It's probably nothing compared to her scandals, so I don't know. She gets a scandal like every other week, so I think we're fine.
Using the Gateway Tunnel funds, which she should not be able to do. And in my administration, I take him to court over it because those are congressionally appropriated funds for the Gateway Tunnel. I know this because I fought tooth and nail to get those funds in place. And so for my opponent to sort of brush off that these funds are frozen, these funds that, as I stated, can lead to about 100,000 jobs, that when we run out of money will cost us $1 million a day. We already have shovels in the ground. We are already moving forward on this. Our communities have gone through summer of hell after summer of hell after summer of hell. How do I know? Because my husband Jason takes the tunnel, and he has had trouble getting home from work, had to call me to go pick up our kids somewhere, or because he was going to miss an event that we had. So again and again, this is impacting people's lives. It's impacting their ability to get to work, and that is why I will constantly make sure that we are addressing our transportation needs here in New Jersey and taking care of the New Jersey commuter.
You have 30 seconds, sir.
You'll hear generalities and platitudes. The specific question was regarding New Jersey Transit. Here's what we need to do. Every single train and bus line needs to be reevaluated for ridership. If there isn't adequate ridership on every one of those lines, we have a tough decision to make. I do think we should dedicate our limited resources to those lines that provide the greatest value to the greatest number of commuters. It's time for that kind of reevaluation, but we need a new management structure.
Yes, you did. He's the one who created this one for me. Actually, a very long time ago, like a month ago. I'm just reusing it. I try to make my own, but he's better at it than I am, so he did me a favor.
This administration, which he has supported through and through, had 8 years to fix it. They failed.
If I may, because my opponent likes to put out misinformation, the specific question was about the Gateway Tunnel project, which you failed to answer.
I thought it was New Jersey Transit in part as well.
I brought that up just officially. I have my thing right here. We talked about it, but I said, Mr. Trump, stop the funding about this tunnel.
And I did answer that. Okay. The Gateway Commission gets reimbursed by the federal government for the continuation of that. You would need a shutdown for 2 or 3 months before the shovels stop working.
This doesn't have to do with the shutdown. This is the president freezing those funds inappropriately.
It's a negotiation that's taking place with the Congress.
With the people of New Jersey and their commuting at state.
There's a negotiation that's taking place with the Congress.
I think the two of you have stated your positions and you're not changing. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back in just a minute.
All due respect, her whole comment about the congressional funding is bull. Absolute bull. Because during a government shutdown, the president is in charge of funding. Congress no longer has a say in what gets funding and what doesn't. It's 100% the president, so Jack is right. She's being an idiot. I don't understand this. How are you that dumb? You're in Congress. You should know this. Yes, I did. That communist pig deserves to be arrested and deported. Torturing an animal live on stream is horrid. Yeah, no. It's horrid. Why did it go black? Okay, it's good now.
Welcome back. You ready for the second round? All right. We're going to just switch gears a little bit and give you kind of a quick talk. We're going to make it very quick, if like 15 seconds on each one, 30 seconds max, it would be great. And it will take a different turn than some of the other questions. You are each people who have several children each, 4 each, as I understand it, right? Okay. As a parent, we're both parents. Mm-hmm. Most of the people here are parents. What are the things that make you most afraid, given everything that's happening in this country right now? Congressman, I'll start with you.
Yeah, so I have 3 teenagers and a 20-year-old. And so I'm incredibly concerned about the world we're leaving to them, about their ability to all move back to New Jersey. I'm really concerned about the mental health of children right now. It's why I'm going to pass the Kids Online Safety Act as governor. It's why I'm going to drive more mental health resources into our kids' schools. Right now, you speak to parents, you speak to psychologists, and you hear again and again that we are facing a mental health crisis in our kids. And I want to make sure we address that. I'm also worried about our schools here in New Jersey. 3rd grade reading is not where it should be. And we know that's a key inflection point. That's how we know if people can move on to their social studies and history and math homework. So we're going to do phonics education. That's the best type of education to make sure kids are reading at appropriate grade level.
The mental health crisis, for sure. When I was a Somerset County freeholder, we created a community mental health center so people can have easy, convenient access to high quality care. I want to work with our 21 counties of government to do the exact same thing in all 21 counties. I too am very, very concerned about the public education system. We've got school districts where 80% of the kids are not on grade level for reading, writing, and math. Who has school choice? People with money. People with money can send their kids to private school. People without money do not have school choice. So if their school system is failing, I will provide them choice. My opponent will not. Voucher system like we've seen in Arizona, Ohio, and Florida. Charter schools, they've been very successful here in New Jersey, but only one has been approved in 8 years' time. We need to provide educational choice where districts are failing. And we need to employ a high-impact curriculum like we've seen in places like Louisiana and Mississippi. A high-impact curriculum, if your child is behind grade level in reading, writing, math, they'll spend the entire next marking period doing nothing other than reading, writing, and math.
Okay. Thank you very much, both of you.
We're going to continue on, and we're going to go to Congresswoman Sherrill. We've seen the president move to deploy the National Guard in other states. If the president were to order the National Guard into a New Jersey city, how would you evaluate the move, and are there circumstances under which you would support it?
You know, unless there is an insurrection or some sort of crisis where the National Guard could come in and the president invokes the Insurrection Act, he's moving these National Guard troops across the country illegally, against the Insurrection Act, against Posse Comitatus. And I can tell you this because I've both worked at the U.S. Attorney's Office with law enforcement to keep people safe, and I've also worked in the military. And those are...
So she's going against the Supreme Court? That doesn't sound very attorney-like. The Supreme Court said the president can do whatever he wants with the National Guard, because it's the National Guard. And they fall underneath the president and the Secretary of War. And the president can send them wherever he wants to send them. So, your point is that you don't want the Supreme Court to be the Supreme Court? Okay, sure, whatever. Go, yeah. Just go against the most powerful court in the land? Yeah, sure, why not? Absolutely, let's just do it. Let's do it.
Two very different jobs, and military members should not be on our streets. It makes people less safe. It makes people feel less safe. So
DC, crime rate dropped 30% as soon as National Guard showed up. It is now less than, I think it's like almost less than 5% now. Chicago, crime rate dropped 20% as soon as ICE agents and federal services showed up, and now National Guard. Portland, Antifa is on the run and is being arrested in high volumes. Memphis, as soon as Trump mentioned it, the crime rate lowered. He hadn't even sent them yet. He just mentioned it, and it immediately lowered. So, her whole "it makes people feel less safe" is a lie and is not backed up by the data at all. So, yeah.
I have to say, when you look at this across the country, and when you look at the threats, and then you see the president saying when he was with Hegseth recently that he's going to use our U.S. cities as training grounds for our military, that is unacceptable. I will not stand for that as governor.
Mr. Chitterelli.
Tam, I've told the president and the people of New Jersey they'll never have to worry about New Jersey because as governor, we'll have safe communities, and here's why. I appoint the Attorney General. I appoint the 21 county prosecutors. I appoint the superintendent of the state police, and we're going to be a law and order state again. We do that by not having sanctuary cities, and we do that by reforming bail reform. Cashless bail has created a professional criminal in New Jersey who's learned how to game the system. Talk to your local police about arrest, release, repeal. My opponent has not said a word about getting rid of sanctuary cities, the Immigrant Trust Directive. She's not said a word about reforming bail reform. Yet cops will tell you all the time that this is one of the things getting in the way of keeping our communities safe. So again, the president won't have to worry about these things in New Jersey. My Attorney General, the head law enforcement officer, the 21 county prosecutors that report to that Attorney General, and it's all the police chiefs that report to those county prosecutors, we will be a law and order state again, and there will be a consequence for unruly, unlawful behavior.
30 seconds.
You know, I'm the only one who's actually worked closely with law enforcement, prosecuting cases to keep dangerous people off the streets. I'm very proud of my record there. And I continue
What the heck just happened
to
there?
push
That was
forward in
weird.
that work. So I've worked with all of the police chiefs in my district on our auto thefts to make sure we had license plate readers, federally funded, so we could drive down the rash of auto theft. So again and again and again, I've worked on public safety. But he misunderstands what's going on in this country if he thinks these National Guard troops are being positioned in the most dangerous cities. They're not.
Mr. Chitterelli.
May I?
30 seconds.
What I'm worried about is what I can control. What I can control is public safety in New Jersey. She worked for the U.S. Attorney's Office as a community organizer. Then she worked for the New Jersey U.S. Attorney for 11 months and pled most of her cases, pleading cases with people who were let go for a number of different things, some of them very heinous crimes. So I doubt very much whether this is somebody who can stand here and say that she's tough on crime. But the fact that she voted to get rid of qualified immunity for local police, which is the bedrock of their protection, and the fact that she's did this dance with Mamdani, she's not about public safety.
Would you like 30 seconds to
respond?
respond?
So, my opponent denigrates public service at every turn. He said law enforcement shouldn't get the pay they get because there's a lot more dangerous jobs out there where people make less. He's voted against our pension system in the past. Again and again, he puts down people who serve the public. I'm proud of my service at the U.S. Attorney's Office. I'm proud of my service in the U.S. military, and I'm proud of people who serve. And as governor, I'm going to make sure I have their backs.
Mr. Chittorelli, you get the next question. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the national unemployment rate is a little bit over 4%, but in New Jersey, it's around 5%. Adding to the uncertainty around hiring are concerns about tariffs, inflation, and AI. How will you get around this environment to bring jobs to New Jersey?
Tam, we have always lagged the national average when it comes to unemployment because we're always ranked 48th, 49th, or 50th in the country as one of the worst places in the country to do business. The current administration is trying to tax its way out of fiscal calamity in Trenton. I'm going to responsibly reduce the size and cost of state government to afford a tax cut for individuals and our businesses. But make no mistake, you can't cut your way out. We've got to grow the economy. And I'm going to grow the economy by making New Jersey a better place to do business. That means lowering the highest business tax in the nation, lessening regulations without screwing the consumer, residents, or doing irreparable harm to the environment, making sure there's an ample labor pool because of a dynamic relationship in my government between the Department of Labor, Department of Education, and getting electricity rates down. If the president is successful, and I hope that he is, in bringing manufacturing back, as one example of blue-collar, middle-class jobs, they're not coming to New Jersey as long as we have the highest property taxes in the nation, the highest electricity rates. I'll make New Jersey a better place to do business, grow the economy, create jobs, and get that unemployment number down.
Congresswoman.
My opponent likes to talk a lot about being a businessman, but I think what New Jersey doesn't know is much about his business, how he made his millions, by working with some of the worst offenders and saying that opioids were safe, putting out propaganda, publishing their propaganda, while tens of thousands of New Jerseyans died. And as if that wasn't enough, then he was paid to develop an app so that people who were addicted could more easily get access to opioids. And so as he made millions, as these opioid companies made billions, tens of thousands of New Jerseyans died.
Mr. Chittorelli.
First of all, shame on you. Second of all,
shame on you, sir.
Shame on you. During the Biden administration, she had no problem whatsoever with tens of thousands of people crashing our border each and every day, not knowing what impact they had in our communities with regard to fentanyl crisis, fentanyl abuse, fentanyl distribution, vaccination rates, and the like. Talk to your local police, talk to your county prosecutors in New Jersey. Since the border's been secured, fentanyl crisis has decreased significantly. She supported those open border policies. But with regard to everything she just said about my professional career, which provided my family, it's a lie. I'm proud of my career.
You get 30 seconds.
I'm happy to publish the information. And here are
I'm
the
sure
facts.
You are.
I work because I think our kids deserve better. I think the people you got addicted and died deserve better than you.
Addicted
and I'll
and died.
tell you, tens of thousands here as you published misinformation, as you got more people addicted, as you got paid to develop an app so that more people could get more opioids and die.
I got to walk at my college graduation.
I
got to walk at my college graduation.
And I'm
you'll
so
get 15
glad
seconds.
that you then went on to kill tens of thousands of people in New Jersey, including children,
And I never broke the
as
law.
they got.
I
You
never
just
broke the
broke the
law.
law. In fact, your campaign right now is under federal investigation for how you
No,
illegally
you've
got
broken the
access to
law.
my records. So to say that right now, and I think you're trying to divert from the fact that you killed tens of thousands of people by
You
printing
broke the law.
your misinformation, your propaganda, and then getting paid to develop an app so that people could more easily get the opioids once they were addicted. Families across the state deserve to know more about that.
Mr. Chittorelli, you get 15 seconds.
The difference between me and the Congresswoman, I got to walk at my college graduation. I've never broken the law. She had to pay federal fines for breaking federal law on stock trades and stock reporting. And the New York Times reports was trading defense stocks while sitting on the House Armed Services Committee.
I think you get 15 seconds now.
This is the same old misinformation that he continues to promote because he knows that I don't trade in individual stocks. He knows I've gone above and beyond that. He also knows he promotes some garbage number, but he actually.
Since being in Congress, she's made $7 million since being in Congress. There is no other way to make that amount of money without trading stocks in Congress. It's not possible. It's just not possible. Last I checked, she does not have a multi-million-dollar business that makes that kind of money every year. That is the only way a congressman can make that type of money, is if they already have a business that can do that. This thing in front of me traded stocks, which, last I checked, everyone hates when congressmen do that. So yeah, she can go screw herself. Now, about the whole opioid thing, I know nothing about it, and if that is true, then shame on Jack. But I know nothing about it. I've never heard of it. I've researched this race pretty extensively, and I've never heard anything about it. So this is the first time I'm hearing of it, and to be honest, since this is the first time I'm hearing of it, it's probably bull. Considering she covered up the cheating scandal, one of the largest cheating scandals in U.S. Navy history, and that she traded stocks and lies about not trading stocks, but she did trade stocks, and that she also supports a socialist in New York City who time and time again has said he plans on defunding schools, defunding everything, but she never answers the questions, never does anything. She lies through her teeth constantly. This whole opioid thing, I think, is absolute bull. I don't think it ever happened. I think she's making it. I think she's making it up. Hey, Red Side, how you doing? Just went on a rant about how this woman's a liar. So yeah.
Actually knows so much about my finances because they're all to the dollar. But here's the other thing. What he never learned, despite walking at his graduation, was accountability, integrity, care for the community. And I think that disqualifies him.
Tam,
Thank you both.
She released 2 years of tax returns the years after she paid the federal fines. I've released 12 years
yours
going
a
back
minute
every
before the
single
last
year.
debate because you knew I was going to call you on it.
Let's move on to some of the interesting,
Getting desperate.
some of the issues that the people in New Jersey are thinking about, and we're going to switch it pretty drastically here. Both of you have been critical about the high cost of electricity in New Jersey. I would like you to tell us specifically, and all the viewers watching, how you would lower prices and perhaps bring in sort of...
What up, Exile? Yes. I don't know why. I live in Florida, but I'm extremely invested in this race for some reason. I don't know. I really like Jack, so I guess I just want him to win. But oh, hey Kirby, I didn't see you there. Welcome to the stream.
sources of alternative energy, which I think, based on my business days, business school days, we could increase supply and lower prices that way. Ms. Cheryl, please start it off.
Sure. So, we have an alphabet soup of agencies in this state who have kicked the can down the road and then dumped the extra cost on the ratepayer, which is why on day one of my administration, I'm going to declare a state of emergency on utility costs and freeze rate hikes. I know my opponent laughs at it and doesn't actually want to address the utility crisis or the families that are suffering, but on my watch, I am stopping this. This is not acceptable. I'm going to drive in an energy arsenal of power as we drive costs down over time, making sure we build out our solar, our battery storage, improve our gas generation in the state, and then develop nuclear power. We need to make sure we produce here because, let's face it, the PJM market, which he's called some small nonprofit, while numerous bipartisan governors across our region are demanding better, our market is screwed up and it's driving up cost here. So if we produce it here at home, we can drive down those energy costs.
Okay, sir.
77 incumbent Democratic legislators many of which have been in the legislature for a long time, 52 of which are on the ballot this year. Not a single one has endorsed her plan. Not a single one has embraced it. Governor of her own party went on TV and said, I don't think you can do that. It's an illegitimate plan and it's not feasible. Let's talk about, since we have seconds here, how we got to this point. Phil Murphy shut down 6 different electricity generation plants, put a moratorium on natural gas-fired electricity generation, didn't expand nuclear in South Jersey, and didn't accelerate solar on the rooftops of all the warehouses that have gone up, which is prime real estate for solar arrays. The DEP slows down the permitting process every single time. Here's what I'll do as governor. We've already talked about pulling out of RGGI. Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative has been a failed policy. Electricity is more expensive, air's no cleaner. We can save $300 to $500 million a year. That's real. I will reopen and repurpose the plants that were shut down. I will lift the moratorium on natural gas-fired electricity generation. I'll expand nuclear in South Jersey and accelerate solar on the rooftops of warehouses.
So Politico just recently called him out for his misinformation, saying it was on his watch that many of these things were shut down, including a nuclear power plant. And so I will tell you, if you want the same old, if you want the failed policies of old, you can vote for Jack Ciattarelli. But if you really want to see your energy costs go down, if you want to see innovation, if you want to see new ideas against the status quo, then I ask for you to vote for me.
Mr. Ciattarelli, next question. Do you support enshrining the right to an abortion in the state constitution as your opponent does?
I've always supported a woman's right to choose, and I said yes to that question back in 2021. What I don't support is celebrating abortion the way the current administration does. What I don't support is making New Jersey the abortion capital of the country, inviting other people from other states to come to New Jersey and have their abortions performed. I don't support that, let alone use taxpayer dollars to do that. I also support something that my opponent does not, parental notification. In the state of New Jersey, you can't get your ears pierced under the age of 18 without the permission of your parents. But we're not going to notify parents when a 16 or 17-year-old is having an abortion performed? I think that's terribly wrong. I've yet to find the most liberal, maybe with one exception, of women across the state who support that policy. So that's where my position has always been on abortion. I've supported a woman's right to choose.
Congresswoman.
So again, he's peddling misinformation. You know, I don't think he knows what's going on in the state, or he's willfully.
Her only defense is, oh, he's just saying misinformation. Okay. Explain what you'll do better. Explain what you plan to do. This entire debate, she has not done that. I think, well, no, she has done it twice. Okay, she did it during her energy plan, and she did that. But the entire thing is, that's misinformation. Oh, well, that's information. That's misinformation. That's misinformation. That's misinformation. Okay. What isn't misinformation? What information do you offer that's better? Please explain. I would really like to hear these new ideas. Like you say, Exile. She mentions new ideas, but what are they? Jack gave a very good energy plan. We're going to invest in solar, and we're going to invest in nuclear. And oil. We're going to invest in these things. And while investing, we're going to be saving 3 to 5 million things. So I don't understand where this whole misinformation. I don't get it. That's her entire argument, is like, oh, well, that's just misinformation. Like, okay, fine, whatever. Come up with something better. Do you have a better choice? Do you have a better alternative? No, but that's misinformation. What? Again, who cares? Like, I really don't. I really don't get it. You sent a meme? Okay, I'll show it later. feel like an abortion is a dilemma because the baby is alive, but women aren't always pregnant because of their dumb choices, even though it is used. Yeah, I liked Jack's thing. I liked Jack's take. That's kind of my take, is women have the right to it, but we shouldn't be celebrating it. We shouldn't be using it as birth control. It's not birth control. It shouldn't be birth control. Birth control is a condom. Plain and simple. But, you know, the best birth control is just not doing it until you're ready to have a baby. That's the best birth control, but whatever. But yeah, you're right. But let's hear what she has to say about this misinformation.
Ignoring it, or in this country. You know, we're hearing stories across the country about horrible outcomes, like Portia, a woman in Texas, who went to the emergency room as she was miscarrying, 2 young children at home. As she was miscarrying, they gave her multiple transfusions, but because of abortion bans like the one my opponent's proposing, the doctors were afraid to give her a DNC or an abortion to save her life. So she died in an emergency room, purely preventable, could have been taken care of. But when you put in place things like my opponent has suggested, people die. We also have the fact that when he was last in office, he voted to defund Planned Parenthood. So these are not pro-choice.
Planned Parenthood is a pedophile ring, as shown in Florida. It's also a human smuggling ring. The fact that people still think Planned Parenthood is good is not. Planned Parenthood was founded on the idea of sterilizing blacks. That's what it was founded on. It was founded on the idea of sterilizing black people. That's what it was founded on. That's pure evil, and yet they still support it. But okay. I'm sorry. What? In Florida, in Polk County, Sheriff Grady Judd, awesome sheriff, hilarious. He roasts the criminals. He's hilarious. He did a raid on a Planned Parenthood facility. 100 pedophiles caught, almost 50 children saved or something like that. I don't know all the details, but it was a lot of bad guys caught. And yeah. So like there were kids in cages, like that's how bad it was. And it was in a Planned Parenthood facility. So yeah. Planned Parenthood is not a good organization. It's pure evil. Aw, I'm sorry, Exile. I'm sorry your phone died.
Positions. I know he's getting up here to tell everyone what they want to hear right now as he desperately tries for the 3rd time to become the next governor of New Jersey, but this is not credible. Abortion bans, defunding Planned Parenthood, those are not a pro-choice position.
Mr. Chitterelli.
We're not Texas. Any woman whose pregnancy is in trouble,
what the heck
whose
just happened?
health is at stake, they will be able to have their abortion performed safely by competent clinicians to protect the woman's health. We are not Texas. With regard to Planned Parenthood, the question I've always asked the Democrats...
I guess your phone died when I answered it earlier. My thoughts are Jack's thoughts. If, like, I'm relatively pro-choice, but it should not be used as birth control. Like, uh-oh, I got pregnant, let's kill the baby. No, I don't like that. No. I'm pro-choice in the matter of, like, okay, the woman's life is in danger. Save the woman. Or the baby's gonna live a really hard life. And then now it's the mom's choice. Does she want her child to live a really hard life, or does she want to raise this baby? And again, that's her choice. But opening your legs not taking birth control or not having the guy wear protection and then saying, "Oh, don't worry about it. I'll just get an abortion," in my opinion, is premeditated murder. You're planning to take something's life. That is premeditated murder. Plain and simple. That by definition, that's what that is. It should not be celebrated. If it happens, it's a sad thing that happens. It shouldn't happen. But sadly, sometimes it has to. That Texas policy that she mentioned, like, they were afraid to deal with a miscarriage because they thought it might be, they thought they might lose their medical license due to the abortion ban. That's wrong. They should deal with the miscarriage. They should abort the baby because obviously the baby has already died. Which is sad, but that's what you have to do. But just the whole issue, it shouldn't be an issue. If you want a baby, talk to your partner, figure out a time, schedule it, figure it out, do the act, and commit. Abortion should not be, "Oh, well, I changed my mind at the last second. Go ahead and kill the baby." Just, what? No. You've made your choice. Live with it. Even then, you don't have to live with it. You can just give birth to the baby and then give it to foster care. Even though, and the foster system does need a lot of reform. Don't get me wrong. But just, yeah. Yes, I got to the opioid section. I've never once heard of that scandal. I have researched this race pretty extensively, and I've never heard of that scandal. I've never heard of anything like that. I think she's lying through her teeth. Now, could Jack have handled it better? Yeah, he could have. I didn't like how he handled that. But, to be honest, I think she's lying. Because I have heard nothing of this scandal. If this was a real scandal, don't you think it would have came up during the last 2 times he ran for governor? Why is it coming up now on this debate stage? Of all the times, why now? If this was so bad, why didn't they bring it up before? I don't get it. So, yeah. I think she's lying through her teeth.
The Trenton is, why is it they get 100% of the money? Why is it we don't send any of the money to pregnancy resource centers like Lighthouse in Bergen County, for example? I don't think that's fair. Let's distribute the money equitably.
And it's time now to go to another question from our media partner, Univision. This one will go to Congresswoman Sherrill. And here again, once again, is Ana Patricia Candiani.
Congresswoman Sherrill, New Jersey's all water pipes are failing, causing frequent water main breaks and sinkholes in our communities. Fixing the issue is estimated to cost $24 billion over 20 years. Can you commit to fix this problem, and how would you fund it?
Yeah, so we have had water main problems throughout New Jersey, and I've worked to drive funding into it. We need a combination of federal and state funding to address these breaks. While I've been in Congress, I addressed the lead pipe remediation.
I'll look at it. Again, I've never heard of it, ever. And the fact it only comes up during election cycles is kind of concerning. Like, if it was so bad, why wasn't it investigated beforehand? But I'll look at it. I can't look at it right now, but I don't have my phone on me. But I'll look at it. Yeah, my word. If you want to make sure I see it, you can post it into my community tab on my channel, and I'll look at it there.
In Nutley and Belleville, making sure that we had safer pipes. And we've seen we have some of the oldest water infrastructure in the nation, which is why it's critical we replace it, but very expensive, which is why working with the delegation, our federal delegation, to drive in federal resources to this is going to be the best way to remediate the problem, but also continue to drive down costs for New Jersey families.
Mr. Chittorelli.
I'd like to get back to the three pillars of all state governments in all 50 states. It was always about public safety and education, public safety, if you will, public health and safety rather, public education and infrastructure. And here in the state of New Jersey, our infrastructure is in demand. We saw it recently with a major pipe break in Patterson with a 100-year-old pipe. I was there, the current governor wasn't, my opponent wasn't, but I was there to talk to the businesses and residents who were without fresh water for 2 or 3 weeks. This also represents a magnificent jobs program in terms of improving our infrastructure all around the state. And so this is the kind of thing that gets me very excited about being governor. Not only improving a critical infrastructure program, but creating jobs along the way. We have to do it. We have pipes that are now 100 years old. In some cities, we have pipes that are delivered, they're wooden pipes that are delivering the water. I also want to have conversations with those municipalities that have their own water utility. I think it's time for them to have a serious conversation with selling that to the water companies who have the capitalization to improve the infrastructure.
Congresswoman Sherrill.
So again, I think infrastructure is such a key thing. And that's why I've fought for it since the minute I've been in Congress. Water infrastructure, our rail infrastructure, making sure we have better buses across the state. And at every turn, my opponent's turning a blind eye when we see cuts to this infrastructure from the federal government. So the recent freezing of the Gateway Tunnel funds by Donald Trump that my opponent said wasn't a New Jersey problem is just the latest example.
Okay.
Hey Django, I'll be streaming Assassin's Creed later in a second stream tonight, so you don't have to watch this if you don't want to. I completely understand if you don't want to.
We're going to move on to another subject. We're going to talk about schooling. We're going to start with Mr. Chittorelli. We all know that all of our futures depend, all of them, on the education that young people are getting. How do we level the playing field and fix schools in New Jersey, especially those in lower performing districts, so all kids who are the future of all of us, get a top-notch education?
So, Bill, in the post-pandemic world here in New Jersey, we have not compensated for all the learning loss that took place because the governor shut down the schools for 2 years. Think about this for a second. He opened up the nursing homes, where we led the nation in nursing home deaths, but closed the schools for 2 years. And we haven't compensated for all that learning loss. Here's what I've said all along. We've slipped from 2 to 12 on the national report card. You're never going to hear me say something my opponent likes to say often. We've got the best school system in the country. We do not. You take out the top 10% performers, which skew the results, it's a whole different story. 50% of the incoming freshmen at every one of our 19 community colleges, are taking remedial courses that don't even qualify for college credit. We need to do what Mississippi and Louisiana did. High impact curriculum. If your child is behind grade level, that's all we're going to focus on, the critical life skills until they are. But I'm also going to provide school choice. My opponent will not, because she's owned by the teachers union, who does not want school choice. No vouchers, no charter schools. I will provide educational choice.
Congresswoman?
You know, I think it's interesting how he keeps citing places like Louisiana and Mississippi. I think some of the worst schools in the entire nation. If that's where he wants to drive us to, I think voters better be aware of that. Because I'm going to make sure that we are driving in better results for our kids. And so one of the few things my opponent and I seem to agree on is learning loss is a huge issue. The difference is, as he's been a perennial gubernatorial candidate, I've been actually working to address that. It's why I put in place high-intensity tutoring, a federal bill. I've worked with the state legislators so we could do it at the state level as well. Make sure we're addressing learning loss. Ensuring we are addressing third grade reading. As governor, I'm going to make sure we're teaching phonics to our teachers. That is
Exile, you really need to charge your stuff, dude.
the best way to help students learn reading, and I've discussed how important that is. Driving in better mental health resources to our students and passing the Kids Online Safety Act, which is going to help all of our students have a better experience, better mental health, and better outcomes.
Sir?
I'm going to repeat something I said early in the evening because I think it's one of the things that differentiates the two of us very, very much. But also reveals one of the hypocrisies of the Democratic Party that wants to portray itself as the party of the marginalized, disadvantaged, and minorities. Who has school choice? People with money. They can pull their children out because they have the wherewithal to send them to private school. Who doesn't have school choice? Particularly in failing school districts. People without the money. I'll provide them choice with vouchers and charter schools. My opponent will not.
We're running out of some time, but we're going to make up for it right now. We're going to move to 30-second response to this. Mr. Teddarelli, we'll start with you. When he was elected president last year, Donald Trump gave a speech saying he would ensure freedom of speech to Americans. Forward to 9 months later, many Americans, many of whom live in New Jersey, are questioning whether freedom of speech is now shrinking in this country or even getting taken away. What would you say to those people who worry about this?
Number one, I can't control what other people say. Number two, I won't be afraid to step up from the people in New Jersey every day of the week if something is taking place that disadvantages them in any way, including their constitutional rights, and there will be free speech here in the state of New Jersey. I appoint the Attorney General, I appoint the county prosecutors, I appoint the Superior Court judges. We'll have a law enforcement community and a judiciary that respects people's constitutional rights every day of the week.
Congresswoman.
So I've taken numerous oaths to the Constitution my whole life and fought for those values enshrined in it. I will always protect free speech in this state. I do worry that there are rollbacks going on, and I actually worry very much about something my opponent just said, that he'll appoint the Supreme Court judges. I think there's 2 upcoming judges, and my opponent has said he's going to remake our New Jersey court like Trump remade the Supreme Court.
That's a lie.
I think everyone who's worried about free speech should be very worried about my opponent being in office to appoint judges.
15 seconds.
I've never said that. What I've said is that I will appoint Supreme Court justices that agree with me on issues like high-density housing in suburban districts where there's no infrastructure, and who agree with me on school funding. I've never said what she just said I said. It's another lie.
All right, we're going to take a little turn. We're almost to your closings. 15 seconds on each of these, a little bit more fun. And this one will be interesting. We'll start.
Bo, there's about 6 minutes left, but if you want to join the next stream after this one, go right ahead. I completely understand. See you around, dude.
With you, Congresswoman Sherrill, what is something you appreciate about your opponent?
So I really appreciate that his son is serving.
Mr.
I
Tittarelli.
appreciate her military service.
Anything else?
Yes, anything else? Okay, we'll move on. Congresswoman Sherrill, what is your favorite place in New Jersey?
Montclair. It's where my home is. It's where I've raised my kids.
Mr. Tittarelli.
Raritan, New Jersey, Somerset County, where my grandparents immigrated 100 years ago.
What is something about you, Ms. Sherrill, that most voters do not know?
Oh, let's see. I think my favorite things, and I've learned this over time, is going to my kids' sports games. I used to dread it, but now I really do enjoy that.
Mr. Tittarelli.
Getting up Sunday morning and making the gravy. And I want to be transparent, Tam. It's gravy, not sauce. It's macaroni, not pasta. But the meatballs, the brioches, and the sausage will be in the pot, and we'll have a Sunday dinner together.
And finally, do you support, Congresswoman Sherrill, a lot of pump your own gas?
No, I really enjoy, I've come into New Jersey on fumes from Delaware, especially when my kids were little and in the rain, so I think a lot of people really love our state laws as they are.
Mr. Tittarelli.
We have too many dubious distinctions, Tam, and I'll fix great many of those, but one of our special differences here in New Jersey, we don't have to pump our own gas. Jersey girls don't like to pump their own gas. We'll continue to have full service.
What is the thing that you think you'd like to have to be the top brass in this state? What do you want to do the first day you're in office that no one's thinking about? Start with you.
I want to join the court case against the tariffs that the president's implementing right now. That's one of the #1 things I hear about as I speak to thousands of New Jerseyans, is how these tariff costs are raising everything from a cup of coffee to the groceries they buy to make dinner at night.
Sir?
Lower your energy costs on day one with Executive Order number 3. We're pulling out of RGGI. The Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative is a carbon tax policy that has failed New Jersey.
Both of you, thank you for those answers and what's happened in the last 55 minutes. We now have reached the end of our debate time, and it's time for each candidate's closing statements. The candidates will each have 1 minute for their closing statements, and we're going to begin with Congresswoman Sherrill.
Thank you. Shipmate, self. It's a saying in the Navy. It means the mission comes first. It means the sailors come second, and as a leader, you come last. That's the kind of governor I'll be. And you know, the ship is New Jersey. Our mission to drive down costs for families. And I will be a leader who serves everyone, no matter who you are, where you live, or who you voted for. And as I've gone around this state, spoken to thousands of our neighbors, I've heard again and again, we want a great state where we can raise our families. We want our kids to have a shot. We want to make sure we're safe and healthy. And so that's the kind of governor I'm going to be. Those are the things I'm going to work on. And I have to tell you, I know too many people think it's too hard right now. But I believe, despite the chaos, despite the challenges, we can be better. We can do better. And so if you vote for me as your governor, I would be incredibly honored, and I will work every single day to be worthy of that mission.
Mr. Tedderly.
My opponent has based her entire campaign on a stack of lies about me, her disdain for the president, and that's not going to fix New Jersey. What we need are solutions here in New Jersey. Her party has controlled the legislature for 25 years. They've had the executive branch for the last 8 years. Can anybody honestly say that things are better off today than back whenever? If you want change, you have to make a change. If my opponent is elected, nothing will change. It'll be more of the same, only worse. The Cettarellis have been here for 100 years. 3 generations of Cettarellis have all achieved their American dream right here in New Jersey. And so when I'm asked why am I running for governor, it's very simple. I want today's New Jerseyans and future generations of New Jerseyans to feel confident they can achieve their American dream here in New Jersey. We have an affordability crisis, a public education crisis, a public safety crisis, and an overdevelopment crisis in the state. And tonight, I put forth a plan. Very specific ideas, solutions, and policy proposals on how to fix New Jersey. I hope to have your vote.
You have both made your cases, and we thank you. We thank you for letting us do this part of it, and you made your points, and we appreciate that, both of you.
Thank you both.
Okay.
Thank you.
And that brings us with this, the end of our debate. We want to thank the candidates for taking part, indeed, and we wish them good luck to both of you. And we thank you, the viewers. We thank you, the viewers, for thanking and being with us tonight. We hope tonight was hopeful when you make your decision about who you will vote to choose for the New Jersey's next governor.
I too want to thank both of you, thank all the viewers, voters out there who are watching. Thank Bill for being such a great co-moderator. And thank you as well to our partners, the Edward J. Blaustein School of Planning and Public Policy, the New Brunswick Performing Arts Center, and our...
Okay, the debate's over. Yeah, I'm going to be playing Assassin's Creed and enjoying it, and yeah. So, I will be live again in probably like 10 minutes or so, and yeah, I'll be back. See you shortly.